Hi, Caitie.
To just explain where I'm currently at right now, I'm about 45 minutes late from our scheduled recording time.
Yeah, give or take.
So 30 minutes of that was my bad. Because I don't know if you do this, but like if I get caught up in a task, I am like in that task and there's no getting me out of it. It's just,
oh yeah,
there we are. And that was cooking. So I was just cooking, taking my dear sweet time, making sure it's good. And like I put the food on the table, I sit down, I go, time to eat. I look at the clock and it's 6. I'm like, fuck.
Like it's podcast time.
Yeah, and I'm like, then Michael, like, I think Michael had the same idea I did. It's like, were you recording now? Yeah, that could have. Yep. That was now. So I
could have been. It could have been the first ever, the ASMR episode that we've been teasing. It could have just been Caitie eating her dinner.
Check out these chicken mole burritos. No. Oh god, yeah. And then so yeah, that I ate whatever, and I literally like, okay, we ate. I put the food up. I sit back down, and right as I'm about to message you saying, okay, I'm ready, I hear, Caitie! What? I need help! What do you need? And I go in, and that was the worst blowout diaper.
Oh, no.
I have ever seen on our kid. Like, thankfully we, like, babies can't sleep with blankets, so you have, like, these little, like, sleep sacks you, like, plop them in. And, like, Michael just opened it up, and it was just everywhere. Like, the kid is covered. And I'm like, I can't. This is a bath. This can't be anything else other than and, like, this is a 2-person bath. You know, like, this can't. So I'm like,
shit.
I have the kid out in front of me. I'm like, Michael, I need you to put she has, like, a chair that she sits in for the bath so she doesn't hit her head. I need you to put the thing in the bath and then go tell Jordan I'm going to be 15 minutes late.
Oh, wow.
And then I just have this kid soaking in poopy water, and it was just a mess, and I had to change clothes, and so now here I am. That was our cold open, baby poop. Welcome to today's Split the Veil.
It was a very, I don't know if Michael shared with you, it was a very creative message he sent me also. It just said, hey, Vsauce, Michael here. Kiddo just woke up and then he explained the whole situation, but I like the hey, Vsauce.
Yeah, Michael doesn't actually watch Vsauce. He just knows, like, he
That's
loves
a good poll,
YouTube
then.
poops. Yeah, he just loves YouTube poops, and they use it all the time in there. Speaking of poop, today's is a shit-heavy episode, I feel like.
Oh, man. Don't tell that to Liam. All right.
That's a sponsor. So to explain what we're doing today, as you can tell from the title, it is the final episode of the ranking series. We already gave all the statistics on Dragon Age. Today is the Mass Effect statistics. It basically same number crunch that I did last time. Last time we had, I copied and pasted all of the, like, written responses we had onto Google, like a Google Docs pages. And for Dragon Age, everyone had written 171 pages worth of answers.
Yeah.
To compare, also, there were more people that voted on the Dragon Age answers. I think we do have a Dragon Age heady response, like a audience. Mm-hmm. And most of the questions got an average of like 250 like responses, with like the most being almost 300, and with that being mostly the Dragon Age cast. And on the comparison, the Mass Effect people, it usually, I think it caps out around 150, kind of hangs around the 140, and then when it gets to Andromeda, it's like 120. So it's like not quite half, but we got only 45 pages worth of data to sort, so that was a lot nicer. But
people had a lot to say about Dragon Age.
Yeah, a lot of long novel length things on Dragon Age. Mass Effect, not so much. You Mass Effect kids, you know your opinions, they're succinct, and you got it. Whim, bam, boom, you got it, you know? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've looked through the data now. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about first?
One of the things that I noticed initially was that there was a lot, the opinion seemed a lot more uniform for Mass Effect. Like there wasn't these huge, not to say that they were huge on Dragon Age, but I thought some of the differences between our ranking and the audience ranking was very interesting. Whereas when I went down the list, although there are some ones to call out that we'll definitely talk about, for the most part, it's like, we might have put Garrus ME2 slightly here, but they put Tally ME3 above it or something like that, where it's the same groupings. Like every 3 or 4, it's basically the same. They may have just like switched the order around a little bit. And then also reading through the comments, I said this before we started, that I felt like there was a lot more what I called stock opinions about Mass Effect, which is like kind of what you hear on Reddit and like Twitter and sort of the opinions. Like, oh man, I can't believe Jacob leaves you and all this. It's like kind of the same stuff, which is not bad, but I do think it just means that the takes on Mass Effect characters generally are kind of cemented, whereas with Dragon Age, there's a lot more divisiveness in a good way. So you'll get somebody who's like really big on Blackwall, whereas you'll get somebody who's like, Blackwall's boring. There aren't as many like Caitie defenders, although there were some in there in the comments, which we can read through as well. There
was one starch Caitie defender, and I think one PB defender, if I remember correctly. And like I feel like for the Dragon Age, maybe that's just because we got more, but like the Dragon Age ones, there was at least like a good handful, minus Ogren, who I think got one.
Right.
So yeah, one thing. Now we'll get to more of this in a bit, but I also just for funsies threw together like both the Mass Effect and Dragon Age and ranked them. And if you take out the like the Dragon Age DLC characters that no one gives a shit about, almost universally at the bottom is Liam.
Yeah,
Liam is minus it by just the viewer ranking. Our lowest was from bottom to top was Brogan, Dace, and Silas, and then PB and Liam. And for the viewer ranking, Brogan, Dace, Silas, and Jarek Dace are the bottom 3, and then it's Liam. And not by that big of a margin, I think. So, and Runic Gollum is higher than Liam. The Runic Gollum, who had literally no personality, got higher than Liam on both of ours.
That is astonishing. And honestly, like it's not undeserved. I mean, like Liam, and look, I am someone who, as much as I am whatever, like people remember the time when I ranted about his push-ups or what have you, which, I mean, that push-up thing was egregious. But I've also made videos talking about moments that I like with Liam, so I think that's probably the only reason why our ranking put him higher than PB. It's the only reason why he's not dead last. So
at least compared to Mass Effect and Dragon Age, Liam is he's the worst character.
Yeah, he's the worst companion ever. I think that sounds right to me, though. Don't tell me you're going to come after Sebastian that hard. Come on.
Okay. How did you know what I was thinking?
Because everybody knows what you're fucking thinking.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm also looking at the romance. And Liam is also the worst romance below Sebastian. And I just disagree with that. Because Sebastian's, like, almost doesn't count. And, like, Morinth is a better romance. Like, it's funnier. Don't get me wrong.
But I mean, I guess that just further demonstrates how much people don't like Liam. Even though Sebastian has a non-romance, people are like, I would rather hold hands with a prince than get fucked by this asshole in space. Like, they don't want anything to do with Liam.
Like, they would rather, like, date Jacob and then get dumped for a baby mama than date Liam, who assumedly stays with you. Like, that's a better romance than... Maybe you can't actually say Liam is a better romance than Twilight. I think that's what the audience is saying.
I mean, it is weird, because, like, on our ranking, we did not put Liam at the bottom. We technically put PB at the bottom, and I think that's mainly kind of because of your take on PB.
Yeah, I find PB so much more worse than Liam. I hate PB more than I hate Liam. Liam just doesn't, I don't care, which maybe that's even worse, and I can see that being debated. But I do think PB is a worse companion than Liam. So
now let me go back to these actual rankings here, because I want to see how bad did you do PB? Pretty much ones across the board, except you gave her a 3 on romance.
Yeah, because the romance was like, it was alright. I don't know.
Damn, yeah, you did PB dirty on this. This is like Zevran level.
I think she deserved it. So even though I don't think PB was the most different from our rating. She is the Zevran of this grouping. The difference between our ranking and the audience ranking is quite high.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. Just because, I mean, they actually gave her some kind of, I wouldn't say love, but she's sort of like just not quite as low as we put.
Mm-hmm. I guess trying to think of like what's surprise. Okay, so the bottom viewer ranking in order is Liam, Jacob, PB, and Cora. So like the and then Morinth. So but like I don't know. I guess I'm not surprised, but like the bottom 5 being a majority Andromeda cast is kind of depressing.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised, and I have a complaint to lodge, which is just like, what the fuck did the people just snubbed Jacob so hard to me? The fact that he's barely above Liam, the fact that fucking PB and Cora are above Jacob is a goddamn travesty. Like, to me, that's outrageous that Jacob is so low.
I agree with PB. I could see an argument for Cora. I feel like here's the thing. And even like I think people even said this. Let me pull up the thing to make sure. But like, just no one gives a shit about Jacob as I think. Like no one really remembers him, and like I think he just has become the meme of he leaves you with another woman and has a kid, and like that's it. And like I didn't even romance Jacob, and I feel like that's all I really remember.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really unfortunate. I mean, not to begrudge people their opinions, if that's really what they took away from the character, that's what they took away from the character. That is just such a shallow read of Jacob to my... And there are people, there was one person who put a comment that said that they liked that aspect of it because it's a thing that happens in real life. Like, Jacob, they're really... Like, you can say, like, whatever, yeah, you had this romance with Jacob, but it wasn't, like... It wasn't explicitly stated that he was going to wait for you or whatever else happened. Like, he went off and had a life. And people take that as like a real, they say it's baby mama drama, which was another comment, a couple of comments in Jacob's section. But yeah, one person said Jacob's romance was a real life situation that happens to real people. So I actually love it. I think that's the appropriate take on that moment with Jacob.
I get that. I just don't think they did it well. So, because I feel like if it was handled, and like two things that were also other people said, like it kind of sucks. I'm kind of like mishmashing two quotes here. It kind of sucks that they gave the black guy the one with daddy issues and baby mama drama.
But it's not baby mama drama. Like that is. But
that's what people remember, though.
Obviously, this is where I'm not the person who should be talking about things that are problematic or not problematic. But it's like. Isn't that, like, the fact that people are putting that lens on it, isn't that the problematic issue, not how it's written?
Oh, I guess that's a good point.
It's like he just went off and found someone he was happy with and had a kid with him. Like, that's not baby mama drama, unless the player character sort of... We've talked about this before, which is like, technically speaking, what you had with Jacob was more like a one-night stand anyway, in Mass Effect 2. And then in Mass Effect 3, I agree with the aspect that, like, they only gave as much time to that particular aspect of him in Mass Effect 3 as they did to, like, Miranda and Jack going like, "Hey Shepard, how's it going?" Like, it was not given enough time in Mass Effect 3 to truly treat it as an issue about him building his life and finding happiness. It was just sort of like, "Hey, what are you up to?" "Oh, I have a kid now." I know we kind of had a thing in the last game, but bye. So if they'd given it more time, I think it could have gotten a higher rating from me personally.
Mm-hmm. I know maybe we're not qualified because this is just a very informal thing, and like I don't want to get too heavy in it, but it does kind of read very terribly that the two lowest rated characters of
our black men.
Our black men, yeah. So
I noticed that right away, actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys, we didn't rank Captain Anderson. You guys throw him under the pile also? Jesus Christ, man.
But I think people actually like Captain Anderson.
That's the one thing, right? It's like people really like Anderson. Thank God.
But like, as far as companions, though, like they are not great. They're really not great. So I feel like it's not quite our fault.
Should we have ranked Captain Anderson?
Should we?
He is a companion for the opening of Mass Effect 3.
Oh.
Didn't we rank Liara for Mass Effect 2 because of the Shadow Broker DLC?
I mean, we did, but that's a whole DLC. He isn't as long as a DLC.
No, it's like 30 minutes tops.
Well, okay. If we did Anderson, then we would have had to do all of like the Dragon Age Origin companions, like Tamlin, and then.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. I wouldn't want to do that. You're right.
Yeah, we already had way too many weird Dragon Age companions anyway. We couldn't have done with the whole
temporary
whole slew of them.
Yeah, one mission temporary party members don't count.
Yeah. But when we run out of ideas, guess what's coming next?
Split the Veil episode 130. Just like, which game manual was the best?
Coming up next is Dragon Age 4 finally going to be revealed.
Dragon Age 4 preview, episode 130.
Oh, God, we're not even at 100 yet. That would be like
Casey Hudson and Mark Dara came back, and then they retired again.
They actually made their own Dragon Age in the meantime. And it released.
Oh, that would, you know what? I don't even want to think about how this is. Who knows how long it could take.
Oh, fuck.
But no, at the bottom of the rankings, I just thought, Liam, like, hey, whatever, any of the other things about it that someone could infer as being quote-unquote problematic, I don't think that's what it is. I think Liam was not a well-written character. Jacob, I think, again, it's got nothing to do with the potentially awful problematic aspect of it. I think it's he's a character who is not appreciated enough, in my opinion. And then also in Mass Effect 3, they did a thing that's kind of important to the character, and they tried to do it in a really small amount of time. Mm-hmm. And those things just rubbed people the wrong way, which is why Jacob ended up how he did on the audience rating. Yeah,
like for our rating, he's actually a lot higher. Like we have him above the first Mass Effect Liara. And Jal, actually, wait, I think the entire Andromeda cast.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, here, so just to kind of like read a little bit more, I feel like rather than just kind of guessing through the Jacob aspect of it, someone did write, contrary to my score, I actually like Jacob. He's a male version of Ashley. He's a good soldier. Kitted out right. He's a bloody beast on the battlefield. He's just a bit boring and has daddy issues, rightly so. So he's a mix of Ash and Caden, really. And I think that's kind of a telling comment. He's a mixture of Ashley and Caden, so people just view him as boring, essentially.
And people did not like Ashley or Caden.
Yeah. So like a mix of Ash and Caden is kind of a good explanation, I think, for that score generally.
Which you mentioned earlier about stock opinions, I think you call them. And you mentioned this before recording. Did you know Ashley is a space racist?
Do you really? You don't say.
Yeah, I never have heard that funny little tagline before, but she is a space racist.
Everybody,
space racist?
Like every time somebody uses that, I feel like they think they're the first person to use that one as a zinger.
Yeah, it's like what's the difference between racist and space racist? Like I don't think there's a difference.
Also, well, I mean there is, because nobody, like, what are you gonna do with the Yogg? Like nobody ever talks about situations like that. Like the Yogg are the one species from Mass Effect that is just like every single attempt to have first contact with them has led to them slaughtering whoever they send down there, and they're like hyper intelligent, humongous, super strong, super fast apex predators. Like I think the right answer there might be a little bit of space racism, if you don't mind me saying. Like every time we try and talk to these motherfuckers, they kill us. I'm like, what else do you want to do? Like, that's the right answer in that situation. Like, just leave them alone. Don't blow up their planet, but nobody try and go down there and talk to them ever again.
Yeah.
Also, this is like something that I feel like always gets lost. Ashley is not a space racist. Like, she's actually not. There's a whole scene when you're talking to the Terra Firma party guy in Mass Effect 1 who wants Shepard's endorsement, and Ashley's like, ew, this guy's gross. And I know some people think of that as a contradiction, but Ashley's whole stance was very simply, we're a military ship, and there's actually no... Like, there's no paperwork. There's nothing in writing of the policy that says that we should even be allowed to have people who aren't part of the Alliance military serving on the ship. Like, that was mainly her whole thing. And that was the same thing with Presley. I don't think she ever actually said anything blanket disparaging non-human races just as a matter of course. I think her whole thing was like, we just got like, you know, a few new crew members and they're not, we're a military vessel and they're not in our military. Like, what's going on? I think that was more her thing.
Yeah. I remember really liking Ashley, and like I don't really remember the racism that people talk about. I remember her quoting like different poets and authors and stuff like that, and like her love of literature, and like that's what I remember. I really don't remember the space races. Like, I remember the meme, I just don't remember it happening. Yeah.
No, she says like, aren't you a little concerned about having non-humans on the ship? And like, I think that comes up in 2 different dialogue spaces. And then, yes, she has certain opinions about, like, the Rachni or the Krogan, which are, like, sort of blanket opinions that Solarians might also have. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a pro-human thing at all. And again, when her reaction to Cerberus in Mass Effect 2 and her reaction to the Terra Firma party in Mass Effect 1, and then her reaction to Cerberus again in Mass Effect 3... I mean, it's like it's a pretty consistent arc all the way through. She's not actually a space racist as much as people who sort of heart Turians got mad at her. One of the comments here, which I really quite liked, like high praise for Ashley, which says, Ashley feels most like a real human person with real personal history to me out of all the characters in all the games. Which doesn't mean I love her most, but it does mean an impressive execution score. I thought that was a really... I wouldn't even agree with that as far as ranking her the highest, but it's a very nuanced opinion that on execution, this person will give her a high score because of the depth to her character, which I think is right.
That, I agree with that, yeah. Because, like, there is something about Ashley that, like, is very... real in that sense of like she has an opinion that like isn't exactly, at least her even questioning like are you uncomfortable with aliens on the ship or whatever to Shepard. Like, I feel like that obviously doesn't read right at face value. It's obviously to the audience, everyone calling her space racist. So, but like she says it and she really has those thoughts, and like that they put that in a game feels very like I honestly could see that happening in a real life scenario, you know. And like I feel like other games wouldn't necessarily put that in there because it's not nice or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, she also talks the most about her family, maybe than any other character in Mass Effect. Like after multiple runs of playing Mass Effect, it's sort of like you know her whole family, right? Like, you know her mom, you know her dad, you know her sisters, you know what happened to her sisters growing up. Like, you know all these things about her family in a way where, like, I can't tell you anything about Caden's family. I think he maybe mentions them sometime, a couple of times, but, like, her family matters to her. She talks about her military record more as far as, like, having lost her squad, but also when she was training. She talks about her father's military record. Like, in that way, I agree with the idea that she has more of a personal history than most characters do. I think a lot of the other characters in Mass Effect fall into the trap of being like that bullet point character history, right? Like Jacob's like, I used to be with the Alliance. I did the thing that happened in that mobile game. Now I'm with Cerberus and I work with Miranda. That's my backstory. What's up? Until you find out about his dad. And then he's like, this is my personal quest. What's up?
What's interesting about that, though, so I compared each of the characters to, like, specifically Caden, Ashley, Tali, Garrus, and Liara. They all appear in more than one game. And everyone's, like, best version, their highest rated version, is in Mass Effect 3, except for Ashley, which was Mass Effect 1. And she's the only one whose the worst version of her is in Mass Effect 3.
Which is so interesting.
Her, I think nobody liked the makeover there.
Her hair.
Honestly, yeah, I think it is the hair and the outfit. I think if they changed the hair of the outfit, that might be flipped. I don't know. Like, that hair is just not Ashley. I feel like everyone hated it for some reason.
I don't know why. I don't know why people are so affected by that. It's so weird to me.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like it either, but like I don't know. Hold on. Did we rank Ashley? Ashley ME3. Where's Ashley? Not even we ranked Ashley ME1 over ME3. What? Why did we do that? What's the? Okay, let's see here. So Ashley in.
I think I ranked her the same on character. I think I dinged her on romance a little bit because of maybe more the execution of the romance.
So for character and romance, we have 5s across the board. Playability, I have a 5, you have a 6. Execution, I have a 3, you have a 4. And then on Mass Effect 3, we have character 4 for me, 5 for you. Romance is 4. Playability is I have a 3, you have a 4, and execution is 4s.
Yeah, so that is the thing, right? Like, on gameplay, there's no question. She's OP in Mass Effect 1. She's just kind of normal in Mass Effect 3. I think that's the big explanation for the score. Otherwise, I only went down 1 between romance, just because I think the ME1 romance has to be considered better because of those other things I was talking about. Even though those are part of the friendship path as well, like, just getting to know her in Mass Effect 1, it feels so genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Ashley.
People were kind of in the middle. Yeah, Yeah, man. They just didn't like her as much in ME3 for whatever reason. Is it? I guess, yeah, it's I think it's looking at the data, it looks like partially the hair and then also the playability. Let's see, the execution.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, right? Like, we don't have to guess. What did people say about Ashley in ME3?
So, mostly 4s. It's pretty even 4 across the board.
One person said space racist and traitor moving up in the world. God, man, people were really harsh. Space racist? Now with makeup? ? Exclamation point, question mark. Another person just put Caden is better. That's the comment they put for Ashley. Caden is better.
Oh, they butchered her with the look, and her personality and overall character took a backseat, but I do still like her.
And this is a quote where I mean, look, props to this person for having a bold take. I don't agree with it, but this is their take. Almost an entirely different person to ME1 Ashley. Give me that no-nonsense bun and Tennyson quotes. Hey, I love the Tennyson quotes. I could have taken more of those in ME3, but it's almost just also kind of one of those things where, like, I mean, they do touch on her love of poetry in ME3. It's not like they forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she can't, it shouldn't become a shtick either, where she's just like, hey, who wants to hear a Tennyson quote? In the hair thing, like, I don't know, man. Like, do people just not, like, have they not ever known, like, a person in real life, like a woman who maybe kind of had the no-nonsense bun, but then she's like, well, now I want to do my hair like this. Like, I feel like if that was my friend, I wouldn't give her shit for it.
I think nobody was just expecting, like, the woman who had a no-nonsense bun and, like, was really military forward to suddenly, like, if I remember correctly, her outfit had a lot more cleavage and then had her hair down in the middle of, like, the finale of the war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it was for me, at least.
Right. Ashley on the box of Mass Effect 1 has a helmet on and has armor that's essentially like everyone else's armor, but the ME3 Ashley armor kind of looks like a skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And her hair is down and she has makeup. I always took it as, like, when you see her that first time in ME3, like, she's starting to understand sort of like the politics of things as well. And that she adopted a more sort of, like, polished, quote unquote, appearance for the sake of, like, dealing with the politicians, if that makes sense.
For me, like, okay, this is going to be a really weird tangent, but for me, it felt like, did you ever have, like, anyone, I feel like I only came across this in high school, where it's like the girl who is really into sports and was a tomboy wanted to dress up for homecoming, but she didn't know how to do it right, so it kind of came off awkward.
Ooh, yeah, I know what you mean. Is that really what you got from Ashley's ME3
That's what
look?
I got from Ashley's ME3 look.
God damn, the poor designer who made that up is like... I'm going to feel so bad if the person who designed that look in ME3 for Bioware actually was the person that you just described, because that was just like that person just has like a sad panda look right now.
So, like, in a way, it did kind of feel like in character, but it was, like, really awkward. I think it also didn't help that, like, the way her hair was styled, to me, kind of felt, like, older than she should be. So it was almost like, my mom dressed me up, which I think is kind of also part of that, like, tomboy's trying to dress up because her mom wanted to make her wear a dress. So, like, the mom did her hair, but it was, like, in an 80s style, and this is, like, the 2000s. So, like, it doesn't work too well. This isn't from personal experience, but no one look at my homecoming photos.
Somebody did put not as bland and not as racist, big improvement for ME3 Ashley. So there were those people in there who did like her better in 3, but not the majority.
Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about Ashley. Let's reveal like the top of the top.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the ones that were high rated, and all the top ones we agreed on with the audience pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. At face value we have a different order, but we really don't, because like the audience has the ability to put decimal points because there's so many things. There's only the two of us, so we have round numbers. So really for second place we have tied Tally from ME2, Garrus from ME2, Tally from ME3, and then also Javik, which they don't agree with us on Javik. But the top 4 in the viewer ranking is Garrus from ME3, Garrus from ME2, and then Tally from ME3, and then Tally from ME2. So, Garrus and Tally with the almost clean sleep there. And then Rex is number 5. So yeah, all pretty solid.
But we had Javik so much higher. Javik was the number 1 as far as the difference between our rating and audience rating.
Yeah, I didn't know he wasn't as loved as I thought. So, like, I thought he was so cool. And then the like, one of, I can't find it at the moment, but, like, people just didn't like him. I didn't know that. I didn't know people didn't like Javik.
I mean, if they didn't like Ashley, like, now Javik is an actual space racist.
Javik. Yeah, why didn't they put Javik as a space racist?
He's the actual space racist.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Like, he still thinks that Solarians are kind of maybe food. Like, he is not a progressive at all. Like, he's really sort of stuck in his ways, which to me is sort of like, that's kind of, not to say that that's the appeal in the sense of agreeing with him, but that's sort of, it's a major part of who his character is. Like, he's a person out of time in a big bad way. I will say, I mean, obviously, like, let's see, where did he he ranked much closer to like the middle of the pack, just below Thane in the audience rankings, like around Edie, Grunt, somewhere around there. People did like him. Like, one comment, I fucking love Javik. The way he is a foil to Liara, all her derpiness from ME1, and the way he trolls her, it just goes against all she thought of the Protheans. It's gold.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I did love that. Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, one just says uninteresting. Dude, how? Tell me how. How is he not interesting? Are you here just for Miranda's ass? Is that why it's not interesting? He's not an ass.
Yeah. Yeah, no, right? No, I think he's amazingly interesting. The precursor, like, to me, the precursor race trope has been done like a couple of different times by BioWare, and like the most uninteresting thing that they could have done is if he was everything that Liara expected. The fact that he's the total opposite of that is one of the most interesting things that they could have done.
Someone also says that Javik is a jackass like Solus, and like maybe I thought about it at the time, I can't remember, but like that is actually very apt. I never thought of that before, but yeah, he and Solus actually share a lot, and like being the precursor race, thinking all of the new kids are really dumb and stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of being a racist. Yeah. You know what? I also wouldn't put it past Javik that if Javik was able to, like, reset the world to bring back the Protheans, he would totally do it.
Yeah, in a way. I don't know if I necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought Javik was fantastic. I think the audience rank. I mean, some people do mention should have been part of the base game. You know, great.
Yeah,
should have been DLC.
I do agree with that. I think we even said that, like, this was too cool not to be a DLC.
The beautiful thing about that also is that, you know, coming May 12th or May 14th or whenever it's out, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, it's finally just all in one package. So
that is true, yeah.
For anyone playing from this point forward, they're going to just experience it all as one thing, which is appropriate. The audience did go a little bit higher on Rex. We had Rex pretty high, but we had Rex under Liara from ME2, under Morden, under Legion, and under Liara from ME3. We really showed Liara some love.
I mean, I don't know. I think she deserved it. Like, okay, I'm not, like, a huge Liara fan, but, like, she had the most interesting growth in the series. She went from, like, someone completely unlikable and, like, I mean, she could hold her own and stuff, but she was just kind of there, and she was, like, she was, like, a grad student that, like, did something, and then she turned into, like, a shady underlord, you know?
Yeah.
Or overlord, you know?
Yeah.
It's cool. In a way, it is very, as I was thinking, it is kind of reminiscent to Liliana. She has that same sort of arc in the series.
I agree. Yeah, I agree entirely. It's interesting, too. Like, we technically ranked ME1 Liara lower, so it's just kind of like the same sort of pattern. We were just higher because of the character growth and also just kind of lower on the boring version of Liara from 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing I wanted to address, because there was a lot of people with questions about it. There was a couple of errors in the the poll I did. The number one that a lot of people were confused about. I accidentally put a ranking for in a romance for Edie. And that there is no romance for Edie.
Right.
But if you were curious, she would have ranked she had a 20, so with the romance she would have nestled in above actually most of the cast.
People would have been like, "Holy shit, we can romance Edie." 7 out of 7.
She would have ranked number 7, the top 7 on the list of top romances if she had gotten a romance. And then I also accidentally put a romance on Liara from Mass Effect 2. And she actually would have ranked just a bit higher than... actually, she would have been right below Thane. Actually, she would have tied with Thane. Whoops, which is that would have been like a top 3 or something.
This is a very kind of a meta question. But
yes.
In the future, when you think of things like maybe Joker and Edie or like Parvati from The Outer Worlds, do you think that like wingman romances will have to be counted as romances?
Huh.
Like, they have to be, but like, will we do it? Like, at a certain point, do you think that fans will start to think of them in the same? Because I've heard some people say Parvati's romance. They go, well, Parvati is not romanceable by the player character. But it feels like you're 100% wingmanning for her, and you follow the entire arc of the romance.
I almost want to say no, because I feel like... well, that almost feels like if I were to be like, oh, yeah, like, if my friend's in a relationship with someone, I'd be like, oh, and, like, I had, like, hooked her up with her boyfriend or something, like, oh, yeah, our relationship with Brian or something, like, that would be really weird.
It would.
You know? So well, okay, I feel like, at least in the English language, you would say Parvati's romance, but it like... they're like, it's the same wording, but they're two different concepts.
Yeah.
Like, people go, oh yeah, Parvati's not romanceable, but she does have a romance.
That's
it's
right.
just not with you. Like, maybe that needs a different name, like love quest. I don't know. There's not a good word.
See, I'll take the opposition a little bit on what because I really enjoyed that entire subplot, that arc in the Outer Worlds. And I'll say this, that from a video game standpoint, I was never interested in romances from like a firsthand like role play, like I'm sort of living vicariously through this video game romance. Like that never interested me. All I ever saw it as was I like RPGs because you could pick what you say and different things happen. And so like it became an attachment of the dialogue system, the feature, right? You can have friendships, but you can also have romance. Oh, that's neat. Let me see if I'll just play around with that a little bit. So from my perspective, it's sort of like getting that same sort of like, it's an aspect of choice. You can choose to do it or not. You can discourage her or you can just say, hey, you're on your own. And I don't know what actually happens if you tell her you're on your own. I think she probably ends up with that person anyway, maybe just slightly differently. So I like it from a gameplay standpoint. It sort of scratches the itch of like getting choice and consequence in there and also showing, you know, what the writers can do with romantic content, but without the sort of weird, like I'm pretending to have a space girlfriend thing that a lot of romances are starting to have now.
But here's the thing. I think that the majority of Bioware fans
you're right.
want to pretend that they have the space girlfriend / fantasy boyfriend. So I like there's no replacement for that.
Yeah, you're right.
The reality of at least our situation is that most people that are really, really into BioWare games really, really have that one. I think there's going to be two people. There's going to be people who are really ass deep into lore. Hi, that's me. And I would argue that's you too, except for Mass Effect. And then there's people that are still lusting over their romantic interests for whatever reason. And you can go bonk them and send them to horny jail or whatever. I'm not gonna diss it or whatever because like that's my audience. Don't bite the hand that feeds. You know what I mean?
It's the most honest thing you ever said.
I just had to clean up kid shit for like 15 minutes. I'm not in a mood to lie.
Okay, he's like, look, man, you don't mess with the Ghildirthalen army, okay? Those horny fuckers, they sold out the Garrus body pillow in 20 minutes.
They did, like... Okay, here's the thing. Like, Garrus, like, the voice actor for Garrus has a very nice voice. I will get behind that. I honestly can't comprehend anyone seriously lusting after that spiky bird
He's spiky. Like, you can't kiss a Turian. Like, this is the objection that I've made to all of the romantic interest with Turians is, like, he's spiky, man. Like...
Like it, but even beyond spiky, scaly. That, like, just thinking of like putting anything of like that remote texture near like my lips.
Well, he's not scaly though.
Anywhere else. But like
he's
that
spiky.
Like leathery. He looks like a leathery texture though. Like it like this weird leathery, scaly. I don't even know how to describe it.
It is a like, bone carapace. Actually, it's actually an exoskeleton.
Oh, it's but. I guess because of like the lips move, I always assumed it was like leather,
like cartilage. No, that's more like the Krogan are actually more like that.
So it's bone.
Yeah, it's a bone carapace because of the radiation on Paladin.
So like, if you like, so does it sound like is that what Turian sex sounds like? You just. Hold on.
I don't know.
I'm not hip on the lore.
That's an unresolved question as to the sound that it makes. I guess it depends on the other species. Oh, you mean like if it's Turian with Turian? Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So it's like kissing a rock?
Yeah, that's the point that I've been trying to make this whole time.
Like, okay, look, I romance Garrus, I get it, but it was just the voice. But like, it's not. But in the fingers.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that hurt? Ladies, we can't. Y'all don't want long nails over there, and you want this motherfucker giving you conolingus? Are you kidding me? Ladies, what are we thinking?
Look, man, they love the Garrus. I mean, people were asking for it in ME1. That's why it even became an option in ME2 and 3.
But it's like, it is just the voice, you know? Like, that's... the voice, I get it, but but people who actually want to, and they exist. I've seen you.
Oh, they do. There's a body pillow for a reason. But here's the thing. Garrus, yes, but somehow still no Varric? Like, how does this make... He's a dwarf. Like, whatever. He's little.
Yeah, well, I think the reality of no Varric romance is just, like, the animation logistics of he's tiny. Like, how...
Yeah, you might be right.
Like, that is why in the past they have not had a Dwarven romance. And, like, if you do look at the Dwarven, like, because you can romance as a Dwarven Inquisitor or Warden, that in Dragon Age Origins, when you kiss your romance, suddenly the dwarf just goes whoop and, like, starts kissing because they're just floating.
Right.
And in Inquisition, everyone's just on a stool. So it would be very funny, though, that every time you want to kiss Varric, he just says, hold on, and then he, like, grabs the stool and, like, steps up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how we got onto this topic about Garrus, but we can't get off of it now.
Yeah, I also just want to, like, I wasn't there for this. I only vaguely knew about it, but I just keep wanting to shame whatever that guy was that wanted to know what Tally sweat tasted like.
What?
That's a real story that the Bioware devs, like, it's become infamous with them, that there was one creepy guy somewhere. I forgot the context of it, but, like, someone kept asking. I think it was on the forums, maybe, the BSN forums. Someone really wanted to know what Tally sweat tasted like.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that haunts both their and my nightmares. So I almost want to say that there really is a gender difference between the fandoms of Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Age seems to have more women.
Yeah.
Mass Effect seems to have more men. That just is. So you get, like, these weird groups almost where, like, the Mass Effect characters are much more sexualized, and you get those weird, like, how do you have sex with a Turian, and what does Tally's sweat taste like? Versus in, like, Dragon Age land, you just get, like, these, like, weird fan fictions where Solus accidentally knocks you up, and, like, there's a whole bunch of, like, pregnancy things and, like, families and, like, these relationships like that. Like, I feel like that's what's going on in Dragon Age land. And then you got, like, what does your sweat taste like over here? So, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather live in Dragon Age land. I feel like it's a little bit more wholesome versus,
No,
like...
you shut your mouth. What do you mean wholesome in Dragon Age land? No. There's a lot of fan art in Dragon Age.
I know, but at least I can comprehend it. I think I'm still on, like, the spiky rocks. Like, I can't even comprehend that. That is so beyond my level of, like, comprehension on sexuality that it just seems like... I don't even know.
There's no Isabella equivalent, though, in Mass Effect. The closest you get really, is maybe no. PB, and I know that probably irks you.
I would have argued Jack.
Oh, maybe. I mean, you can have a sort of like a fling thing with Jack, but then she becomes very sort of like distant to you afterwards.
Which there was that news report, or I don't know, it was new, whatever. Like that came out like not that long ago, where Jack was originally going to be bi, but then like Fox News got their panties in a wad, and so they actually changed her not to be bi for whatever. I'm not quite clear on what happened or why. But I feel like if she was bi, I think she would have come across... Well, one, like, even in the game, I think she actually talked about liking women, and then just she didn't want to date a female shepherd. So I feel like if that was actually the case, and I think, like, she just would have been, like, angry Isabella, almost. Like, I think Isabella, like, owns her sexuality a little bit more, and is, like, a lot bit more fun and loose with it, where Jack has that more trauma aspect to everything.
Yeah, that's why, it's very different. Those are two different sides of it, even if it manifests somewhat similarly.
Yeah, PB... You said PB, right?
I mean, you can have the hookup with PB, and she seems to be, like, in a weird way, as someone who does not necessarily espouse hookup culture, like, it seems to be that representation of people who would say, well, no, you can have that sort of no strings attached thing, and it's not always a disaster. I think that they somewhat tried to represent that with PB, and I thought they did a decent enough job, which I actually appreciate, to be quite honest.
Well, what other things from the data would you like to discuss because we went on a horny jail rant.
Yeah, we really did. Yeah, let me see here. So we already talked about Javik. We already talked about Jacob because those are probably the two standout ones. PB, we just, damn, we did PB absolutely dirty, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to take on. People were really surprised that I like Sarah but hate PB. Like, for some reason, they're even remotely similar. Okay, they're a little bit similar, but like I just see them. They're so different. There's actually a good quote. Like one at the very first quote we got from PB is, "Take obnoxiousness attitude of Sarah, the shallowest interpretation of Isabella's sexuality, and Anders' lack of self-awareness, inject them into a lobotomized Mass Effect 1 Liara, and jack all of those awful traits up to 11. That's PB." I love that take. That is exactly how I feel. Like, Sarah is so much more than PB could ever be. Like, they're not, like, so another quote later on is, "PB is just as immature as Sarah, so kind of weird that Caitie hates her." Yeah, Sarah's also maybe 20. PB's, like, in her 60s. You know what I mean? Like...
Oh, for an Asari, though.
Yeah, well, but still, like, even if you take the age difference out of the way, like, Sarah still has moments of seriousness where she's like, now she talks very informally, but like, she really tries to get down there with the emotions and like is serious sometimes. Where PB just doesn't give a shit most of the time. Like, some of the most serious moments, she's going, "Hi, we're gonna go floating down this thing, woohoo!" And I just really hate PB. No, Sarah is great. Sarah has moments of self-reflection, and like she knows what she is, and she's self-assured in it. And then PB just is confused and just at every sense of the word. And it's never resolved. I think like if PB started out bad and then it got resolved, that's a whole nother story. It just isn't that. It isn't that at all.
So,
you know?
So on Age, so that's actually made me think too, because on Age, let's see here. Liara is how old again in Mass Effect 1? Now I'm starting to forget, like 80 or something like that.
We can Google it. I'll Google it real quick.
I'm just remembering, like, I can't remember. Like, PB is older than Liara, but Liara is described as little more than a child based on her age.
Mm-hmm.
She's either 50 or 80, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so when you meet Liara, she is only 106.
Oh, gosh, she's 106 years old, and PB's actually not much older than that. I think PB's age is described as being 100 and change. Like, it's not a set age.
Yeah, that's what the wiki says.
So she's a little bit older than Liara, which means she's basically like a teen. So to me, she is probably about Sarah's age.
Yeah, okay, here's the thing, though. I don't fucking buy it. I don't buy it. You're telling, like, I don't... So here, okay, at least in humans, in normal, like, the average lifespan, like, there's, age 1 through 18, there's a whole bunch of growth going there.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, from, like, 1920, like, you kind of mature a little bit. And you're telling me that in between the ages of, like, 1 and 20, like... What, are Asari just, like, still infants? Like, what's the scale there? Like, you were telling me that 100 years they don't learn jack shit? Like, what are you telling
Caitie,
me?
I mean, I think you're right? There's a certain amount of incredulity that we have. Like, it's science fiction. There's a certain part of it that's kind of nebulous on purpose. I don't think it's necessarily that from 1 to 20 they're still a baby. I think that just, like... Well, here's the thing. I don't know if they've ever established at what point they mature. They're considered mature, like as far as like sexual maturity. But let's say that happens around the same time as it does for humans, right? I think that what they actually have is just sort of like a prolonged period of like technical physical maturity, but not quite adult status. They're basically like millennials, Caitie. I don't know if you know this. But the question that you just asked about, like, what are they doing with all this time? Like, I assume that's what all the boomers are asking about us, which is like, what the fuck were these people doing between 20 and 30, and why haven't they started their lives yet?
Yeah, I Yeah.
That's basically that's basically what it is.
That hit home.
Yeah, no, I know. It's me too.
Oh, man.
But no, I get it. PB and Sarah, I don't think that they're alike necessarily. I think that they're each divisive within their own franchise. So that's why they get lumped together. But I also see Sarah as being... Sarah's very outspoken about a cause. Whereas PB is like, PB doesn't believe in causes.
Yeah.
PB is really just about PB. And really for that reason, especially, I think they're completely different.
Yeah, to which everyone who just looked at you and says, Sarah has a cause? Yes, I will defend this. Her cause is the little people.
Yeah.
The cause is the common man. And everything kind of, not everything, but like a lot of things like center around that. She wants to like just cause chaos for the people above so that the people below, her people, can just kind of have a good time. That is... She's party rock anthem. Sarah is party rock anthem.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of Sarah's like mannerisms and personality and the way that she talks. Yeah. I made that clear, but I don't think she's I actually do think her dialogue is poorly written, but I don't think that her character is poorly written. I think
yeah.
You know, I think it's a smart thing to write a young character that's a little bit too caught up in her she has sort of a narrow view of the world, to be honest, but so does PB, and they're just sort of one's more selfish and one's more idealistic, to be honest.
Yeah, I do say that, like, I will say that there are probably some people saying PB's cause is the remnant tech, but like that is so recent that I don't even know if that's a cause anymore. That's just like she got curious or something. I don't know. PB. Why PB isn't the worst is beyond me.
Well, I mean, I have my thoughts on like defending her as well, but yeah, PB and the Remnant Tech, that's more of like a juvenile curiosity anyway. Like she's sort of obsessed with it.
That's like, you know, different kids have different obsessions or whatnot, but like essentially it's like the dinosaur obsession for toddlers, you know? She read about it one day and was like, I want my own Stegosaurus. I'm going to name it Tiny. You know, like some bullshit like that. Which she does. She gets one of those stupid remnant things and named it something stupid. I don't even remember what the name of that thing was.
Yeah, she really does. Let's see.
What was the name of that? We can keep going. I just really want to know.
POC. You're talking about the thing that she made?
Yeah.
Yeah, proof of concept. POC, POC.
Oh, she did name it something stupid.
Yeah, she really did. So talking about the middle of not even the middle, just kind of like higher up, closer to the bottom. Vega is like pretty much where you would expect, but there was one comment that said he's my favorite of the starter male human companions in Mass Effect. Him being a mentee for Shepard gave him more to do than Caden and Jacob, who were just that normal guy Shepard works with. The execution of his dialogue and casual characterization is sloppy, but still more enjoyable than Liam's attempts at the same in MEA. I think that is actually an accurate take on Vega. I don't think it changes anything about his score, but I was just impressed with, I thought that was a spot-on comment. He does have kind of more to do than Caden or Jacob, and he is also better at being the sort of young, impetuous character than Liam is. For whatever it's worth. I just thought that was a good comment on Vega.
I'm trying to think if there's any... someone called Jack Volana 2.0, and I just so disagree with that. Like,
I laughed. I saw
so
that
much...
too. I don't agree with it either, but I was like, that's a good burn.
I'm still just thinking about that one guy who said his wife was like Volana, and I just want to pour one out for that guy.
Yeah.
Not that you're, like, whatever your wife is, but you compared your wife to her. Oh, God. I'm so sorry. What else? I'm trying to think of what else we missed.
This is worth noting only because there's so much of it. I do think we tend to end up talking about the difference ranking. We do tend to end up talking about the bottom ranking and some controversial stuff. But, let's all just recognize the unbelievable unanimous amount of love for Garrus. Like, it's just not even close. Like, he just wins the romance average. He wins everything.
Oh, which jumping over to when I mashed together both Dragon Age and Mass Effect, he consistently on both the romance and the non-romance is the top character. specifically it's Mass Effect 3. Coming in second is Morrigan for both, too.
That's insane to me that he beats Morrigan, especially given the split of our audience. Like, I'm impressed that Garrus wins.
Yeah. And it's like by almost a point on each. Almost.
God, he's the bro of all bros. Like, it is really that thing. So, yeah, I mean, like, there's so many comments talking about Garrus and how wonderful he is, but they're all kind of similar, I guess, in the sense that, like, he's your bro, he's the best ever. Yeah, Garrus is the undisputed champion.
One thing that I thought was interesting, this is very informal because I'll probably post it in the comments to this YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. I color coded on when I mashed them all together. Dragon Age is red. The DLC characters that no one cares about, but we ranked anyway, are darker red, and then Mass Effect is blue. For the most part, if you scroll through it, I think the Mass Effect characters ranked higher than a lot of the Dragon Age ones, but the Dragon Age romance seemed to rank higher than the Mass Effect romances. On roughly, it's not super obvious, I guess, but that just seemed like the case to me.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look, I love Mass Effect, and I'm not one of those people who wants to necessarily hold it up to some lofty standard that it probably should never be ranked against. But, like, I think a lot of the original conceptions of Mass Effect were just, like, do cool shit in space. Mm-hmm. And I do think that in that vein, I think that originally, although by ME3 it sort of moved on and evolved to something more mature, I think originally the idea of Space Girlfriend kind of was the idea. Mm-hmm. Like, especially when it comes to Liara. Like, she really is just kind of like the hot alien who kind of likes you a whole lot.
Yeah.
And it gets so much better. Like, don't get me wrong. By the time it's Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, like, they're really starting to do a lot more with that. Especially with Tali, with Caden, with some of these other different folks. But, like, I think that might have something to do with it, which is that Mass Effect does appeal more to that action audience. And I love it. I'm not saying this is a negative, because I think doing cool shit in space is a good enough reason to have a video game, quite frankly. But yeah, I think on the romance aspect, it definitely never, it was never aiming originally for the same thing as Dragon Age, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, with that, is there anything else we wanna talk about before we wrap up this entire series?
God, so much. Rex, shout out to Rex. I feel like looking at our rankings, maybe we could have done higher for Rex in some way.
Oh, I didn't even think about redoing people. Okay.
I mean, let's see here. Like, I don't know how I could have. I gave him 7s, didn't I? You gave him a 4 on Mass Effect 1.
Why did I do that?
I gave him a 7, a 7, and a 6, and...
Yeah, so I did Rex dirty. That's my fault. I'll keep that, though.
Why did you do Rex a 4?
I think I just didn't give a shit.
I think maybe because you never brought him or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was...
Because you gave Ashley a 5.
I like Ashley. I like Ashley more than Rex. Shoot me.
No, that's a valid take. You're allowed to like Ashley more than Rex. Yeah, so shout out to Rex. He's brilliant. He's my guy. Let me just take a final look here. Is there anything? Thane. I mean, look, I love Thane, but amongst all of these other great characters, it's incredible that Thane is only where he's at. And the audience, he was like one of the ones smack dab in the middle of the difference chart. Like, the audience pretty much agreed with us on that, because as awesome and badass as Thane is, like, he's up against such incredible competition.
Mm-hmm. Which, the audience and us pretty much exactly agree on Mass Effect 1, Garrus. He's the closest to 0 that we have.
Oh, you're right. He's the closest full agreement that we have. Zaid and Kasumi sometimes are forgotten about, but they're much better DLC companions than the Dragon Age equivalents. Just a shout out to them. Like, they're very good DLC companions. And Javik to me is like, he's not even a DLC companion. He's just regular.
He really shouldn't have been. That would be. I would almost be like putting Solus as a DLC character. You know, almost.
Yeah, he's essential pretty much. Okay, no, I think overall this is the last one, the finale, the hurrah for the entire ranking series. Which I feel like, when did we start the first ranking one?
It was a while ago. I think it's been over a year.
Was it pre-COVID?
So just because. It might have been. Here, hold on. I can look up the YouTube.
I mean, it's been really fun. This is definitely one of those topics that we started doing just because we couldn't think of anything else for a week, or we were like waiting for something else to happen.
That was. We can't let them know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a master plan that we had all along.
No, it's fine.
But it turned out to be really, really fun. Like right away from when we did the first one, I think we kind of figured out that it's kind of a fun thing to do, and also now we've established. We've even gotten a chance to do it with the community, right? Like Split the Veil we've got our official one, but now the community has theirs also.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so the very first one was October 11th, 2019.
No way.
Yeah, holy fuck, we've been doing this for a while. What are we gonna... Man.
That's crazy. That's the end of an era. That's crazy that we've been doing it that long for the ranking ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also, we have to pipe in, I had a baby in between then. So
yeah,
like,
that's true. That's true.
There is some time between that, but still, like that's well over a year. Wow. Okay, that's fun.
That is crazy. So yeah, so officially too, like the most important question, Garrus is number 1, and Liam's at the bottom.
for like the entire bar. Okay, I think legitimately, maybe not anytime soon, I think it would be really fun to try to rank all of the Bioware characters, because I really just want to see where those Anthem people are at this ranking chart. You know?
I guess so. Yeah, that might... But wait, does all of them include Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, like Baldur's Gate, like...
I mean, people are asking us to redo it and or do those, and to be quite honest, it's gonna be a while before the next Bioware game, so I think we got time.
I mean, like, if you say KOTOR, I'm there in a heartbeat, but I know that you maybe tried that one time, and KOTOR 1 has not aged well from a controls and graphics standpoint.
It has not. When I tried to play it was a controller nightmare.
Yeah.
But I could try again, and 2, I might just like bite the bullet and just watch a playthrough of it, just get the story of it. I don't think that's necessarily... if I give it a good college try. Same thing with Jade Empire. I got halfway through Jade Empire before I'm like, I hate this gameplay. So,
yeah, Jade Empire I would need to go back to, and I would not be excited about that.
No. So, I know, and like people wanted to do like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter.
Neverwinter Nights,
which maybe we want to do a Baldur's Gate series, because when we in preparation for when 3 actually gets like a 1.0 and out of beta.
We'll get all the references. Yeah, there's a part of me that really wants to go into Baldur's Gate because I'm not that I started being a Bioware fan with KOTOR. I wasn't there from day one, like Baldur's Gate era. Mm-hmm. But I love those games that are now inspired by Baldur's Gate. So there's a part of me that really wants to go back. I know, again, from a system standpoint, graphic standpoint, it's kind of rough. You know, it's been many, many years, but I don't know. Might be fun. Yeah.
Now, to everyone who's like very on board with this is not coming anytime soon, but it's on our radar. Mm-hmm. So I guess with that, let's call it. So Jordan, where can they find you?
They can find me at the Exalted March on YouTube and YouTube only. Where can the folks find you, Caitie?
They can find me at Ghildirthalen on YouTube and Twitter. I was still there. And with that, everybody, Dara Shiro.